You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a damn if you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna fucking do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions, they blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen, that shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're dreaming.
There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Aren't you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Aren't you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Fucking fight back. You ain't gonna make it, you ain't never ever gonna break it. You can never beat them and they're better than you face it. Thinking that they give a damn, you're not thinking straight, kid. No, they don't give a damn, you got what I'm saying? I'm not fucking playing, I'll give it to you straight, man. There's too many others and you're not that great, man. Stop what you're saying, stop what you're making. Everybody here knows that you just faking. Nah, I don't wanna hear it anymore, I don't wanna hear it anymore. All these fucking thoughts, they are not what I need anymore. I'm about to shut the motherfucking door on all you poor ass haters with your heads in the clouds. Talking out loud, so proud, you better shut your goddamn mouth before I do more speak out. It's about to head south. You're never gonna make it. There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Aren't you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Aren't you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Fucking fight back.
Hey guys, what is up? The Phillies win in 12 innings. Woo! What a game. Oh my god. But anyways, welcome to Sixers Alert, episode 4. I'm here with my guy Dimes from Edge of Sports Philly, Mr. Crockpot. We covered the whole summer league for the Sixers. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I don't know if you can get a recording while your intro is going, but I was jamming out as Kyle Schwarber drives in the walk-off win run for the Philadelphia Phillies, man. I was grinding. It was fun. What a way to
I was just like, what the hell? About time. I told you before we started. I couldn't watch. I could not watch. I felt like I was going to be bad luck.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, it's what a way to start a podcast.
You're telling me, right? So, Sixers got done in summer league, right? But we got to talk about the off season. So, in your opinion, what was the best off-season move that they made so far? That the Sixers made?
I mean, it's Nick Nurse. Let's start. That's really easy. How good does it feel to officially punt Doc's offense to the moon? Never see that return ever again. It was that ISO offense is done. Under Nick Nurse, you're going to see a motion offense. You're going to see Maxey facilitating. You're going to see players cutting. You're going to see guys, creating shot opportunities through off-ball movement, man. If you go back and look at Nick Nurse and his ISO offense frequency, 2020, 4th lowest, 2021, 13th lowest, 2022, 4th lowest, 2023, 10th lowest. You start to see a pattern. So for me, it's got to be Nick Nurse and his potential of, getting guys, in better spots. And, that starts with Joel Embiid. Get him moving towards the basket rather than just camping out on the perimeter. It then goes to Tyrese Maxey, getting him more transition buckets. Get the Sixers back to what they were so freaking good at. And they took a dip, and it coincides with the loss of Ben Simmons. They really lost that. They showed a big time decrease in deflections and points off turnovers and fast break points and things like that. That's Maxey's bread and butter. If you're able to get a Sixers offense that gets him back in transition, you saw it, man. When Joel Embiid was on the bench, we saw Doc opt for a more fast-paced, up-tempo game. Maxey thrived, even without James Harden. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and that's the best move so far.
Yeah. So for me, I was going to go Nick Nurse as well, but let me be a little different here. I have a tie. Beverly, because of the whole mentorship with Maxine Springer, helping them move and, to help the defense. But then we matched Paul Reed. The fact that we matched Paul Reed at the weirdest time, I'm just like, thank God. If we did not match him and we lose McDaniels in the same offseason, that would have been terrible. So I know the fact we have 5 centers. We're going to talk about Petrusev later. But it's just like, for me, you got the guy that everyone wants. You got the guy who hustles on every play, good on both sides, can protect the rim, rebound. It's just perfect. I just think Paul Reed was the best other than Beverly.
I'm so biased, though. Make no mistake. Like, I'm a Paul Reed guy. I've always been. What's up, Joe Mack? What's going on? Thanks for joining. First of all, I do want to say thank you to Mitch for joining me throughout the summer league. I should have led off with the show with this. Like, we crushed it, man. It's been a grind. It was like
it really had
shows like every other day, at least. And I just want to say thank you. I really do appreciate it. Anyway, Paul Reed, he's a guy that can defend the 5. He can defend ball handler forwards. He's a high level contested rebounder, something that Sixers do not have on the roster. I think he's trending towards becoming an elite defensive disruptor if he's not already. I think he has upside. He can improve catching lobs. I think he can improve around the rim. Maybe even develop a floater off the roll. Who knows? I think Harden and Paul Reed and that chemistry can definitely show major improvements next year if Harden comes back. But my goodness, man, the Sixers were 29-11 regular season and postseason in games when Paul Reed played 10 or more minutes last season. I just think he has serious upside in the pick and roll in a Nick Nurse system. You look at the regular season, 1.17 points per possession, 67th percentile. In the playoffs, went up significantly, 1.3 points per possession, 88th percentile. And it's going to be really fun. I mean, that contract means Paul Reed will be we'll see more of Paul Reed defending the 4, defending the 3. We saw him do that in 2021, his rookie year, 62% of the time. That went down to 39% of the time in 2022. 2023, 1% of the time. Doc frickin' Rivers buried this guy, and perhaps what might be his most impressive skill, which is getting out on the perimeter and causing chaos. It makes sense why James Harden probably doesn't like playing with this dude, because that's what he does, and that's what he does best, offensively and defensively. But if the Sixers want to get defense to offense, that's what Nick Nurse, a system is all about. Paul Reed is literally on the top of that list.
Mm-hmm. Now, people are saying on Twitter, actually DMing me, that Paul Reed cannot play the 4 because he's not a stress big. But I'm like, he shot 3s in college. You see him shoot 3s, he has a decent percentage. So I think he can play the 4, and I think he can play the 3. So for me, it's like, it's a match made in heaven. How do you feel about his 3-point shooting?
We don't know. I'm not there. That's like a question for like Austin Krell, who's like literally at Camden watching him practice. I'm not there. I wish I was. I wish I was a fly on the wall. But yeah,
Right.
the shot is wonky. It is what it is. But it does go in. I mean, you look at, the NBA attempts just 3 of 20 with the Blue Coats in 2022, 42%. 2021, 44%. His 3 years at DePaul, he was right around like 35, 36%. That's pretty damn good. I think defensively, he has no issue defending the 3 and the 4. We never saw it. We never saw the Paul Reed Embiid lineup. And it's a shame because, that's what regular season is for. Rather than, putting James Harden out there and playing him so many minutes, like regular season is for experimentation, is for trying to find what works, what doesn't work. We didn't do that enough. And I think Nick Nurse will do this. And I think the contract speaks for itself. I think we're going to see more minutes of Paul Reed at the 4, regardless if he's not putting up major 3-point attempts. We're coming off a regular season and postseason of PJ frickin' Tucker and Tobias Harris, who pump fake to hell and back. Yeah. So, it doesn't really matter. That defensive impact is still significant, especially with his ability to crash the offensive glass, especially with his ability to fit with Maxey, push the tempo, deflect the pass, start a fast break. It's all there, man. I'm really excited for Paul Reed at the 4.
I am too. I mean, just the last, oh my God, I can't speak. Athleticism alone. He's just athletic. We were the slowest team last year when Paul Reed was on the bench. I mean, when he's on the floor, we're one of the most, we need more young guys, and that's what he brings. And just the fact that Doc Rivers benched Montrezl Harrell for Paul Reed, it's just like, okay, he's starting to he realized that Paul Reed can play. He deserves to be out there on that floor. But then it's just like Doc Rivers does whatever Doc Rivers wants, and now he's not going to coach anymore.
And it's very clear that Montrez was a James Harden guy too. Yeah. And I think it's also somewhat clear that perhaps that wasn't coming from Doc. It was coming from management. Like, you got to play Paul Reed. There's no on-court justification, logical reasoning for Montrezl Harrell to be on this roster or getting any playing time over Paul Reed.
No, Montrezl Harrell only got the 1-year deal now. So it looks like that we're just getting 1 year for the bench, so we can focus on next offseason. You think with the 1-year deals?
Yeah, it's all about saving money at the end of the day. I think that's what the Sixers are trying to do, get under that luxury tax. I mean, kudos to the Sixers again for doing the Paul Reed contract. That definitely puts them over. But there's still much more they can do to get under before the season, which I expect them to do. Did you see the Nick Nurse quote? I guess he joined some sort of podcast that said the roster is still going to look different compared to before the season starts. So, I mean, everything feels like we're waiting for that shoe to drop. Probably Dame. We're probably waiting for that Dame shoe to drop. But at the end of the day, Montrez shouldn't be playing a lot. I think we're overreacting to, the 4 bigs and things like that. They carried 4 bigs on the roster last year. I'm excited. I'm roughly excited to see a Bamba, Paul Reed kind of rotation under Joel Embiid. I mean, that's the most rim protection 3-point attempts. You said Mo Bamba, man. He just turned 25 in May. Let's talk about adding youth and athleticism to this roster. I think he's got a really intriguing blend of production and potential. 2.7 blocks, 1.8 triples per 36 minutes. He can protect the rim. He can stretch the floor. He ranked 11th among 66 qualified centers in 3-point attempts per 36. It's very clear that Nick Nurse wants to shoot more 3-point attempts in 2023. So I like that floor spacing dynamic he's going to bring off the bench. It's something we really haven't seen in the Embiid era, especially under Doc Rivers. And, I think I think Bamba's also going to lock a lot more driving lanes, open a lot more driving lanes for like Tyrese Maxey on that second unit, and that flexibility to have Reed to defend some wing minutes, to have maybe more effective double big lineups. Again, that's something we really haven't seen. I went back to 2021 when Paul Reed played more at the 3 and the 4. Do you remember these guys? I'm going to throw some names out for you. All right, you remember Dwight Howard? You remember Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
All right, Tony Bradley. Do you remember Tony Bradley?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you remember Vincent Poirier?
Yes.
All right. I went through like 10 freaking pages of lineups, traditional and advanced lineups of 2021. Very small sample size. But Paul Reed, when playing with another big, was a net positive every single time. Every time. Plus 20, plus 3, plus 1 with Dwight Howard, Tony Bradley, and Vincent Poirier. Again, super small sample size, but it's really exciting to think. On one hand, it's exciting to think what he could do with Bamba under Embiid, but it's really damning to me that, I understand Doc's never been an analytics guy, but God damn it, man. Like, I feel like he's just been buried. And that's at the end of the day, that's what this is. You let Isaiah Joe go. You let Charles Bassey go. Like, I'm just finally excited that they're bringing back Paul Reed.
Yeah. I mean, they let Champagne go. They let Michael Foster go. We just learned he was on the next Summer League team. Like, he's letting all these young talents go. And now the fact that he brought back Paul Reed, even Daniel House Jr., not a lot of people talk about him. When he was on the floor, he was making good things happen for a short period of time. Now that we got him, maybe he can step up a little bit more with McDaniels gone, you think?
Yeah, just to kind of go back. That's my take. That's my take of the offseason. That's where I grade it like a D. Like, there's no vision of this offseason. Like, yeah, you kind of had to get screwed over by Danny Ainge with that Paul Reed contract. But this should have been ironed out long time ago. You should have been making this contract done for Paul Reed well before signing Montrezl freaking Harrell. Like, what are the priorities? Where's the urgency? Like, this James Harden situation, as he's holding the team hostage, while the Sixers are looking at all these MLE targets, and I would love to break down some free agency targets with you tonight, that just walk. They're signing, gone. And now the Sixers are kind of screwed, especially at the wing position. Yeah, I'll talk about Kelly Oubre if you want to talk about Kelly Oubre.
Yeah.
But it's just frustrating. The lack of vision. Like, you need a rim protector. You let Charles freaking Bassey walk. You need a guy at the wing position. He's not perfect. These aren't needle movers. These aren't guys that are going to, like, bring you a championship. But Isaiah Joe, shows flashes after the Sixers waive him. The Sixers have actually done a damn good job of bringing in guys that can make an impact undrafted. Look at the Miami Heat. They had 7 guys on that playoff rotation that were undrafted.
Yep.
Undrafted. Guys that are just coming in. They're getting meaningful minutes. I think it was like 46% of the Miami regular season rotation guys were from undrafted players. The Sixers need to go back to that, especially when they're so star heavy, so just driven by stars on this roster. But they keep letting them walk, man. They just stop it. Stop the bleeding. Like, if I'm telling you, man, if they let Terquavion Smith walk in like 2 or 3 years, I'm gonna riot. I'm gonna freak out.
So that's your riot when Terquavion Smith walks.
Yeah, I'm biased. I'm a sicko. Let's just be clear, in case anybody doesn't already know. I love player development. That's literally my thing. I love watching. Like, I love Summer League. I'm actually really bummed it's over. I could watch that all day long.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch highlights.
That is literally my favorite. So, watching young players grow and develop and improve is literally my bag. And Paul Reed's one of them. And I just want to throw that context out there.
Yeah. course. I learned a lot from you just from this summer league about all these young guys, and now I'm like, oh, it's done now.
Well, they have a first-round pick next year.
It's the second round pick.
They lost their second-round pick with the PJ Tucker.
Yeah, it was okay. So yeah, we're doing first.
So just the first rounder as of now.
Who knows?
Who knows at this point?
Seriously, who knows? Did you see Daryl Morey at the summer league? He was on his phone. So I'm like, please do something. Please. He's on his phone doing that squat.
Well, all right. So that's a take, right?
Yeah.
So I have so many takes about that. It's an unpopular opinion, right? My unpopular opinion is sometimes the best move is not to make a move. And let me just say, what's going on, Little Spongy? Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say that because look at the James Harden situation. I think, we all called it. Like, nobody wants him. The Sixers are literally outbidding themselves. We look at the Tobias Harris situation. When has Tobias Harris looked at his best? It's when he's decisive. It's when the ball is moving. It's when he gets the ball and makes a move to the basket. That's what Nick Nurse and his system is. Like, it's a lot of, creating offense from the elbows. The ball never sticks. The ball hits you for 1 to 2 seconds, get rid of it. Guys are cutting. We haven't seen that yet.
No.
And I'm not listen, I do not think the Sixers are contenders next year. In fact, I think next year is a gap year. I think everything is in the direction of making a play at Pascal Siakam and or OG Anunoby for next offseason. That's what Daryl Morey wants to do. He wants a clear reset, a retool with those guys. And we saw a tweet. I've been saying this for a while, and we saw a tweet the other day about Pascal Siakam that, the Sixers are definitely among the teams interested. It makes a ton of sense. I would be totally down for that. I would be totally down for a Siakam Embiid front court. That would be really fun.
I would too. Just get rid of Tobias and you're good.
Yeah, I think it's one or the other. If you bring James Harden back, get rid of Tobias. If you get rid of James Harden, I would be okay with keeping Tobias and letting that contract just walk out the door. That's what I think Daryl Morey is trying to do. He's trying to accomplish clearing the books for 2024 and bringing on 2 max potential contracts. The free agency class is not good, man. Tobias Harris is probably going to be a top 5, top 10 free agent next summer, which speaks volumes how bad it is. Which, let's be honest, you look at Tobias Harris, again, it is the Clippers versus the Sixers, and he was a lot younger. But when Tobias Harris scored the most points per game in his career, it was a contract year. With the Clippers. So I don't know. Could you strike lightning in a bottle with Tobias in an offense that, gets him moving a little bit more, gets him moving towards the paint more? He definitely has potential in the pick and roll. His percentile was very good. I don't know. Again, that's like a glass half full look on the Sixers. But I think that's the best play. And that's why I said, sometimes the best move is not making a move, because at the end of the day, if you're talking about solely 2023, trading Tobias Harris for lesser role players doesn't make the team better. Trading James Harden for draft capital and role players doesn't make the team better. There's not puzzle pieces on the table that's going to improve the team and increase their chances to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I can't knock Daryl Morey that much.
It's just like everything. It's the Philadelphia fan base at this point that's coming out of me. So you were talking about trading James Harden, right? You mean this fat one? So do you think he's actually going to get traded? I don't think so now. I think it's stuck. I think we're stuck with this for training camp.
I don't understand, man. I already gave you the ISO frequency percentages under Nick Nurse. Like, in what world does a James Harden fit Nick Nurse? James Harden doesn't want to be here. Like, I don't buy it whatsoever of a potential like reunion of James Harden coming back in shape and being good for this Sixers team. That's not happening. James Harden wants to play James Harden basketball, which is heavy ISO, give the ball to him, clear out, hero ball. The NBA has just moved forward from this style, from this brand of basketball. And I don't think James Harden has realized that. So it's a shame because listen, I'm not a James Harden hater, but I have major concerns about his lift. I have major concerns about his longevity and durability to move the needle for the Sixers in the playoffs. Like, the problem with James Harden is, like, when he is great, he's amazing. When he has an off game, he's the worst player on the court, which is nuts when you consider the contract and especially what the contract that he wants. It's kind of sad to see a player of his caliber like fall off a cliff like he has, because he had some really great moments during last year's regular season. At the end of the day, yes, if it was up to me, again, I'm an idiot, I'm biased, I'm a stupid Sixers fan, I would sign and trade him immediately and give the reins to Tyrese Maxey. This is a gap year. This is a transition year. Let's see what Maxey's got, and I would love to talk more about that. But that's what I would do and keep Tobias.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I would do too. But my question is, why would he want to go to the Clippers, right? I get it, Westbrook is there against Paul George and Kawhi. But they're not going to tolerate his style of offense, though. So for me, it's just like, what, you just want to ruin another franchise? Like, what are you doing here? They're not going to want that. Kawhi's not going to tolerate that at all. And Paul George, with his injury history, who the hell knows? Like, for me, it's not going to make sense.
It makes tons of sense. The LA Clippers were one of the heaviest ISO teams in the league last year. He knows. I'm telling James Harden knows. He sees Kawhi. He sees PG. Those are two guys right there where it's just dribble, 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 dribble. Hold the ball for 10 more seconds. Dribble, 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 dribble. Like, it's a boring offense, but that's what James Harden wants to do. And if the Clippers are idiot enough to make that move, I'd be all for it. There's some guys on the Clippers that I've been very impressed with, and I've been calling out a couple of names.
Terrence Mann.
Terrence Mann is one of my favorite guys, man. I've been on the Terrence Mann bandwagon for a while. He's a wing. He's a guy that, unlike a lot of the kind of wings that we've seen here in Philly, can do a little bit of everything. You know, he's got some ball handling skills. He's a great defender. I think he could fit in a starting lineup with Embiid or Maxey. I think he could play on a high energy bench unit and fit in really well. He's a good rebounder. He's actually a really good passer. He's got a decent handle. He's signed on for just 2 years at $22 million. And when he started last year, he started 36 games and he shot 43% from three. He's an older guy, so he's not like a super young prospect by any means. I think he's like 24, 25 years old. But, I mean, if you're looking for a young wing to kind of develop with Maxey, I like Terrence Mann a lot.
Yeah, I do too. But didn't they just put him on, what was it called? Trade? What is it? They took him off the market, untradeable, right?
Yeah, there's leverage plays happening all over the place. I mean, we just watched the Sixers summer league team get carved up by Kobe Brown, who looked really good. I mean, that was another like 6'7", 6'8" wing that can that's a great athlete, can defend multiple positions and penetrate and shoot. He looked really good. It sucks watching, like, we watched Sebron today for God damn it, who did we play today? It was the
Pelicans.
Pelicans. Jesus, they have a guy like Seabrook. Like teams like have these guys that we just do not. Like wings that are like 6'7", 6'8", that can just run and run and run. That's what we need. So if there is a multi-team trade where you can sign and trade James Harden and bring in a few wings and some draft capital, do it.
You tell me, man. You tell me. I think we're stuck. I think we're stuck with the same starting five. I don't think it's going to happen right away. Maybe like towards November, maybe in the trade deadline when the value goes up, and maybe Tobias will add a few points and become the assassin scorer that is dead for him to be. So if that were to happen,
let me put this on record out here right now.
Go for it.
I do think there is a world where they trade James Harden and Tobias sticks with Philly and actually has a really good year. You know, if the ball is more in his hands and he has a more heavy role, more of an emphasis within the Nick Nurse offense, I do think there's a world where I'm not saying like re-sign him by any means, but I do think like there is a world that a Sixers verse that Tobias Harris could like shock some people. Again, it's all about the contract with Tobias. And you look at Doc's, you know, a heavy ISO offense where he basically got the ball at the end of the shot clock and had to jack up something. And I'm not excusing him by any means. I mean, his inconsistency, his streaky shooting, talked about that ad nauseum. But I mean, who knows? You know, who knows for his confidence that he could thrive here. And he's definitely a low-key guy under a Nick Nurse system that could take a step forward.
Yeah, if he was the third option, I could definitely see him move his points being up. But then if his points goes up, will Max's points go up as well, you think? Or is it going to like clash? I think it might clash.
Well, I think Tobias is already, you know, kind of passed the torch to Tyrese Maxey. I think that's the thing that people are like freaking out way too much about. Like in games when James Harden didn't play, Tyrese Maxey averaged nearly 25 points a game. Mm-hmm. That was like 11 times last year. Like people are like, well, where's the offense going to come from? Like right there. The you know, the shot creation, the playmaking, the passing is obviously a huge. You're going to miss that, a huge absence on this team for sure. But again, we haven't seen this level of ball motion with, I mean, pretty much since the Brett Brown days. I mean, and when you go back to the Brett Brown days, you saw a lot of DHOs, you saw a lot of horns offense, saw a lot of bigs kind of roll off a screen and attack, and you know, a lot of backdoor cuts and things like that. That's what's so freaking nauseating about Doc Rivers, man. Do you know the Sixers were like among the best at cutting to the basket? Like the last 3 years, they've always been very good at it. But like, frequency-wise, they never freaking did it, man. They never did it. So like the games where like Joel Embiid would be all on the bench and they push the tempo, they look great in moments, in stretches and sequences where they could push the tempo. They could move the ball more. I mean, the evidence is in the pudding. You saw Jaden Springer, and you saw who was it? Someone come out. Was it Turk? Was it Turk?
Did he come off the bench today?
No. When they called out Nick Nurse for stopping practice and, you know, just basically going over the X's and O's and the basics of a defense and explaining and describing what each role should be on offense and defense.
I think that was
Springer. Like, that's basic coaching 101.
Yeah.
Like we actually talked about that, like me and Tiago, a lot. Like we've made so many comments, like you can't convince me that Doc Rivers is actually coaching on that sideline. He does more of this on the sideline than he actually does like within game analysis, adjustments, things like that. And that comment like proved everything. That proved everything. Again, Jaden Springer's, how many Sixers practices has he been? Not that many compared to a lot of people, but like that's significant. That's significant. And that's significant for Joel Embiid, getting him closer to the basket. That's significant for Tyrese Maxey, getting him out in transition. Little things go a long way, man. Like every time James Harden would chuck up a shot on the perimeter, they got destroyed on the other end in fast breaks, man. Teams knew that. Teams knew that the Sixers would drag their ass back on defense, and it just left, transition bucket after transition bucket wide open every single freaking time. The Sixers have been one of the worst transition defenses for the last several years. And that should change with, Nick Nurse. I don't know. I'm trying to look at this glass half full.
Like for me, it's just wondering, like, what does Doc Rivers do at practice? That's my question. Like, we don't see anything on the court, so what does he do during practice?
I don't know, man.
That's my question.
You can't tell. I don't know. And I don't want to make this about Doc. I've said my piece.
I don't
about
either,
Doc.
but hey, my whole Twitter handle was fire Doc Rivers for a year.
I've never been a Doc Rivers fan. He was so always overrated. Always overrated. It is what it is. I hate talking about it because it's like it doesn't matter at this point. He was literally brought here. His entire function of being brought here was him and his ability to relate to stars and bring Ben and Joel together. It's 2024. Ben's basically out of the NBA. Joel Embiid is like 1 foot out the door. This team's in shambles, man. Like he's been a massive failure. And then he goes on like podcasts and like pretends that, he showed improvement with this team in different ways with, I think it was Bill Simmons. Like that guy's a freaking joke, man. This team has had accountability issues top to bottom, guys that refuse to look at themselves in the mirror. And Doc Rivers is at the freaking top of the list, man. That's the biggest fraud I have ever seen as a Sixers fan. It's brutal.
I just don't understand. He's like, we got to get off Doc Rivers, but this is my last thing. He won one title in 2008. You have Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rondo, and Garnett. And you have Glenn Davis and Perkins. Like, that was back over 2 decades ago.
Yeah, he basically made a whole career after that based on that. And listen, like, I get he has great relationships with players and, whatever. But he's, again, one of the most overrated coaches I have ever watched. Like, he would be a good coach back in, like, the 80s and the 90s and things like that. But the game just has run circles around Doc Rivers. It's not that style anymore, man. The game is all about pace and space. It's all about like Nick Nurse and what he wants to bring to Philly. It's about having guys that can defend multiple positions. Your team in the NBA is only as good as your weakest defender. It is a mismatched league. It is switch until you get your mismatch. And Doc, I mean, he traded. Listen, I'm going to get killed for this, but he traded Matisse Thybulle for Jalen McDaniels. There's clearly never any vision or plan for that. You traded your best defender, who would have been. It would have been nice to have a guy like that to slow down just a little bit of Jason Tatum in the second round, just a tap. Imagine having that guy to throw in and say, hey, just for a few possessions. But people killed him, and you brought in Jalen McDaniels, who was a massive failure throughout the playoffs, and he walks and goes to a different team. Like, to me, that's bad coaching. That's bad development on Doc Rivers. And that's also bad management on Daryl Morey, clearly just trying to save some freaking bucks. So it's bad vision, bad roster construction, top to bottom.
Yep. And you told me that McDaniels is not your favorite player out there on the court, but you always told me that he was versatile. So he could be like anywhere on the floor. We desperately need that. And he goes to a team like the Toronto Raptors who have wings galore, like wings on wings on wings, and we're sitting here with nothing.
Yeah, I don't have it. Yeah, I mean,
it was a salary dump. It had to be.
My take on Jalen McDaniels was I was never a big fan, but I believe in the upside in a Nick Nurse system with Jalen McDaniels. I believe he would be able to show a little bit of promise in a different role with more cutting, with more three-point shooting and things like that. Like that guy got buried. And that was my take on McDaniels. More importantly, my take on Jalen McDaniels was supply and demand. The Sixers have zero flexibility and options at the three. You look at Furkan Korkmaz, you look at PJ Tucker, and you look at Daniel House. That's your options at the three right now. Again, there's probably some moves to be made, but that is weak. That is bad. I'm not a PJ Tucker guy at all. He should be coming off the bench. That's what. So at the end of the day, what Jalen McDaniels got, I think it was like $5 million per year. It was like nothing. It was nothing. Like I would 100% brought Jalen McDaniels back for that, just for the sake of we have no options.
We got none, and we let Shake Milton walk, which I knew that was going to happen. I kind of knew he wanted a bigger role. And then we let George Niang walk, which I'm personally happy about. The guy still hasn't DM'd me back. So just like it is what it is with Niang. I mean, the defense on that guy. You said just now, like, you're as good as your weakest defender. That was our weakest defender.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't have to watch any more ISO drives from Niang. I'll miss Kate's like bang, bang, Niang.
She tweeted at you, right? Or something?
Yeah. Listen, Niang is, what it is. Like, he's like JJ Redick. I love watching JJ Redick. They're fun players. They're fun players that will win you like maybe a handful of games during the regular season with some timely buckets. But at the end of the day, in the playoffs, like those guys get exposed, man. Those guys get picked apart again and again on the defensive side of the ball. I'll miss Niang. I had fun with him. But the Sixers definitely, I think, made the right move by not signing him to that contract. That's a move that I do not regret.
I don't regret that one at all. It's kind of like Seth Curry. Remember that playoff series against the Hawks? He would keep on scoring, but he kept on getting scored on every 5 seconds. Yeah. So it's just like a give or take here.
Exactly. Like, that's why I'm excited about Jaden Springer. I think there's upside to Jaden Springer. Again, we're not talking about needle movers, but when it comes to, putting guys on the court that are more athletic, putting guys on the court that can thrive with Maxey, and really give you something on the defensive end. Like, I think, like, what were you looking for out of Jaden Springer this summer? You wanted to see him attack switches on ball. You wanted to see some off the catch comfort. You wanted to see him kind of finish at the rim with some sort of consistency. And I think what you saw was a little bit of everything. I think you saw him really struggle on ball. I don't think anybody should expect any kind of point guard Jaden Springer next offseason. But, like, I do think there is a Nick Nurse role for Jaden Springer with the Sixers moving forward. I think if Nick Nurse can kind of harness Jaden Springer to attack off-ball rotation, drive and kick to the next guy, get the ball out of his hands, get him cutting to the basket. His ability to kind of make simple bounce plays off closeouts is really good, man. I think he's definitely a rotation player, and I have not been the biggest Jaden Springer fan, but I do think there is a realistic path for him getting minutes in the NBA sooner than later.
Well, yeah, we have 2 roster spots open. I mean, give it to Springer. You let him stay there. Don't let him go up and down. And then Turquavion Smith. Give him a shot and then send him back to the G League. I mean, for Turquavion, I love him. I mean, he showed so much potential in this summer league. His confidence especially. So, I think he'll be a 2-way contract, hopefully. He already got one, right?
Yeah, he's got a 2-way contract. It should be an NBA contract. Make no mistake. Yeah, he struggled the last 2 games. But who cares? I think he's my new Thibault.
I mean, he can shoot, though.
No, my point is, like, I was, like, head over heels with Matisse Thybulle.
Okay.
He was, like, my guy. Like, I've always been I had this weird, like, emotional bond with Matisse Thybulle.
I mean, yeah. Did you see that?
I think Turk is that guy.
With Thybulle when he left? His mural. Did you see that after he got traded? Dude, they dismantled that. They destroyed it.
Oh, man.
You didn't see that? It was like as soon as he got traded, boom.
Oh, man. No, I did not.
I mean, they fixed it, but still, I'm like, that's a quick thing with Turquavion Smith. I mean, we need shooters. That's all we need here to hike up shots. And I've been saying this for God knows how long. I'll keep on saying it until someone proves me wrong. Turquavion Smith is better than Korkmaz. If no one can prove me wrong on that, I'm sticking with it.
I mean, he's arguably your best shooter off the bench right now, right there with Furkan. I've been so impressed with Turk. He's a fun player, man. He plays with a swagger. He plays with a confidence. Remember that play in Summer League where he flexed after finishing through contact, man? That's the shit that will take Sixers fans over the moon. Like, he's going to be a fan favorite the instant he does that in an NBA game, like with Corey Brewer, like guys like that. Turk has that level of moxie that is going to be really exciting. He needs to add strength. He needs to add weight. I'm not sure that's possible given his frame. Who knows? But I think if you're looking for like a Bones Highland, Lou Williams, like microwave score off the bench that can thrive off ball, or even more impressively, you can give him the ball and facilitate a pick and roll.
Yeah.
He can do that. And that's what my take from the Summer League has been. Like, how the hell was this guy not a first-round pick? That guy is freaking talented, man. He's really his handle, his instincts, what we saw from him defensively over the last handful of games, the incremental progress he's made, just making the hustle plays, deflecting passes, blocking shots. Like, it's been really impressive, man. I've seen him beat his man to spots. I've seen him turn the ball handler around to force a possession reset. There's been really major positives from Turk. Denying dribble penetration, like that's been something that's been the Achilles heel for a long time. And again, it's Summer League, and this, overreaction is what this is all about. And who knows? I mean, remember, Furkan scored 40 points in a game one time. But I do think, and I've been messaging Sean about this, like I am a Sixers fan that tries to stay like even keel. I do that with all the things I do. Like, I try to stay in the middle, but Turk is pushing me, man. He's really fucking me up because he's a lot of fun to watch, and I'm going to root for him big time. I think he should get an NBA contract with the Sixers. Getting a guy like that can space the floor from like deep 4-point range that he shoots from, like Steph Curry range, at such a high clip, at such like with that fearlessness and confidence around a Joel Embiid, like they need guys like that, and it's going to be interesting, man. Like, we said it on the postgame show. Like, I think Jaden Springer should be worried. I think Jaden Springer should be really worried.
You know what they should do? They should have them go 1-on-1. Whoever wins takes a spot. Springer into Cravion.
Yeah, I think
it's up for grabs.
I think right now, Springer is just so much stronger than Turk. Like, he would bully him every single time going into the paint. I mean, Jaden Springer is not even remotely close to Turk's handle, vision, feel, instincts, ball handling, all that. Like, they're totally different players. I mean, especially defensively as well. They're opposite players. Yeah, if you're looking for, I mean, who knows? Like, Melton could be on the trade block. You know, maybe they move Melton for a wing in some sort of package. We won't know. We're kind of in wait and see mode with a lot of things with this Sixers roster.
But Turk has 1 year left, so it does make sense.
So Turk should be on this roster. There's no question.
Oh my God, yes. If he's on his roster, Beverly can help him with the defense. I'll take that.
I think, I'm very curious to what Beverly the Sixers are going to get. I mean, offense wasn't the issue for the Sixers last year. Beverly is he's got dog in him.
Yes.
You know, which I'm really excited about. Like, as much as I dislike PJ Tucker, like, the Sixers need more guys in that locker room that can say, cut the shit, stop, and, like, you know, speak up to Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is not that type of leader, unfortunately. You know, It is what it is. So that's what Pat Beverly brings, is a guy that's going to kind of speak up, speak his mind. And when he went to the Chicago Bulls, he was really effective versus his previous team. So does that Chicago Bulls Pat Beverly come to the Philadelphia 76ers? Again, this is a move that I wish they made 3 or 4 years ago, because I've always been a big Pat Beverly fan. And we talk about defense to offense. He had 2.6 deflections per 36 minutes last year. That would have been third on the team behind Melton and B-Ball Paul. Not good in the catch and shoot, just 33%. But what Pat Beverly brings to the Sixers and why he's such a good fit with Nick Nurse and Tyrese Maxey is he's great in transition. 92nd percentile, 1.42 points per possession, 1.42 points per possession in transition. So I think all of those things are good things. And he started a lot of games last year. So it's going to be interesting. I definitely think the fit with Maxey is interesting. He is not a good offensive player by any means.
No. He can still knock down the 3, though. He can still
a little bit. Do not look for shot creation. Do not look. I mean, I remember Doc was like, he was the difference between the Sixers getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's not true. The Sixers could not get a bucket to save their lives. They missed every single open 3. Their stars failed again and again in Game 6 and 7, and Embiid and Harden. Pat Bev is not the difference. But I'm excited, though, because I do think, like I said earlier, there's a accountability issue with this team, and maybe he's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. What I'm looking forward to the most, shout out to Mark Farzetta. If you guys missed that show, go check it out. He said that he's more excited for Patrick Beverly and PJ Tucker being on the court at the same time. I mean, can you imagine that? That would be terrible. I feel like it's going to happen at some point.
That would be a disaster. That should never happen.
It should never happen, but it would be funny. Like, I don't know. PJ Tucker didn't do that much during the season. It was Beverly who would do it most of the season. He would do it like in the third game during halftime.
Yeah. I mean, listen, PJ Tucker was good in spot ups, and he shot a pretty good percentage from 3, but it's not enough. I mean, you watched the playoffs like I did. Like, how many times did he miss a wide open shot or refuse to shoot a wide open shot? It happens way too often. Pat Beverly is not a good shooter. He's not a bad shooter, but he's not a good shooter. And that's what this Sixers team needs, is they need floor spacers and things like that. So the Pat Beverly addition is really intriguing for the purpose of kind of making Jaden Springer take that next step forward. Because that's kind of like that mold that Springer could possibly be in like a year or two. I don't think Springer's as a well-rounded basketball player is anywhere close to being ready. But I think next year, maybe playing under Pat Beverly for a season and kind of learning how to use his body in the NBA, how to play within a role offensively, which Nick Nurse will get for Pat Beverly, I think is really interesting. I don't even know if he's willing to be a mentor, but that's kind of how I see Jaden Springer advancing as he plays in the NBA. I see him as like a Marcus Smart, Jimmy Butler hybrid. And Pat Bev's not one of those guys, but he's got some of those ingredients a little bit. So we'll see.
Philly halftime, you're hilarious. You're the one that wants Trae Young, not me. Funny.
That's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. I've been saying that for God knows how long. It's him. But hey, to close this out, my guy Romp gave me his video to react to. It was like it's top 5 realistic trades for James Harden.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Yo, what's up, guys? Romp here, back for another Sixers video to talk about the future of James Harden in Philly. So Zach Lowe on his podcast said if you talk to people around him, he's not backing down. He wants out of Philadelphia, and he's one step closer to getting his fat suit out of his closet prior to training camp.
Oh, my God. I knew we were going to get that. It's Romp.
Obviously, I made that last part up, but you get the point. Also, Rosillo said the Sixers are looking to acquire more draft capital in a potential James Harden trade to the Los Angeles Clippers. And Rosillo believes the Los Angeles Clippers will beef up their offer in the next coming weeks. And I responded, I was like, the Clippers still have picks to trade because they traded all those picks for Paul George.
Wait, they don't have any picks, do they?
I have no idea. I think the picks they would be getting would be coming from a third team.
So it have to be a third-team trade, I would be guessing.
Multiple moves like for the Sixers, with even including a Tobias Harris trade would probably be a 3-team deal.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
And somebody responded they have 2028, 2030, and also they can do pick swaps, of course. Now, the thing about this is I feel like both teams are in a situation.
So we got Powell, Morris, what is that? Boston?
Brandon Boston.
And then 2 picks for James Harden. I mean, if the Clippers, would you do that?
Not my preferred trade. I do like the draft capital down the road. Norman Powell doesn't play a lick of defense. He definitely has some pick and roll upside with Brandon Boston Jr. Brandon Boston Jr. definitely has some pick and roll ups. He's pretty intriguing in his size, and I definitely think there could be defensive upside there as well. Untapped potential for sure. I would not have this among the top tier of trades that I would do for James Harden. But at the end of the day,
just get rid of him, right?
Can I just like play the politician role in this one?
Go for it.
Maybe.
Where they're overvaluing.
All right, let's just get to the next one. You talk too much.
Assets.
Romp is the man.
I love Romp. I do.
Think it's that high, and I think Daryl Morey thinks his value is way higher than it actually is. But at the same time, I think the Clippers are overvaluing their assets because they were like, "Oh, we're not even giving up Terrence Mann.
even though he had erratic playing time and was beefing with Ty Lue at times. It's like
Romp was retweeting my Terrence Mann stuff.
What?
Romp was like retweeting and quote tweeting my Terrence Mann tweets. Like I know he's a Terrence Mann guy.
Oh yeah. I think everyone is pretty much. He's the best thing. He's the best thing we could get, probably.
Mm.
I mean, if we could get Paul George and Kawhi, that'd be another story.
That's actually pretty damn good in the regular season, and that's the one thing about his value that is certain that you cannot deny is he was a very, very good regular season player last year. And one of the Clippers' problems over the last couple seasons is Paul George, Kawhi Leonard get hurt in the regular season, and at times they go on losing streaks. So James Harden, he would provide a lot of value for them in the regular season, and that could potentially help them long term in terms of resting Kawhi and things like that, because he can carry an offense in the regular season, and his stats during the regular season last year were all-star level. And then come playoff time, very inconsistent. He was either very good or one of the worst players in the league. Now, knowing all those things, I'm trying to make it even for both sides. And I don't think the Clippers GM or Daryl Morey are trying to make it even. Obviously, they're trying to win the deal, and rightfully so. That's their job. However, I'm trying to be fair. Norman Powell, I think, would help the Sixers. Marcus Morris, I think, would help the Sixers off the bench. And Brandon Boston Jr., I think he has a lot of potential, and he's an archetype the Sixers have lacked.
You know what I'm most excited about? Just like in any trade possible, that is draft picks.
Yeah.
Draft picks, that's all I want. Maybe like a bench piece here and there, but I don't even think we're going to get that. His trade value right now for Harden is so low. Now it's going to be even lower after him being fat. Like, I forget.
Now.
Yeah.
What was it?
No, I'm saying like there's a very real world scenario where the Sixers fail in 2024 and like Joel Embiid is like 1 foot out the door, and like it makes sense to look to the future. It definitely makes a lot of sense to kind of maybe build this team around Tyrese Maxey down the road. So,
yeah.
Also get 2028 first round pick, top 5 protected, and then 2030 lottery protected for James Harden. I think this is a solid deal for both sides. Moving on to the next one, I got Terrence Mann in this deal. I don't
know if I would get Covington back.
I like Covington, man.
Oh, really?
I'm a big Covington guy. Yeah, I mean, I've always been. I know he's so divisive in Philly, man. But like he's the analytics darling, man. He actually had a pretty good season last year, defending multiple spots, hitting his threes. I think there's still upside. So I would do this trade.
This is the one you would do. Okay.
Terrence Mann is
not what I prefer, but I would do it.
Yeah, I would not prefer it too. But people are telling me, like, Mitch, it doesn't work out when the players come back, like to Philly in any sport. So I don't know if we're working Covington based off those logic.
The Sixers, because I think his fit.
I think as a small ball 5, a small ball 4, like he fits that role really well with what the Sixers do not have. That's why I like him a lot. Like they don't have a guy like Covington at all. A guy that can be a small ball 5, a floor spacer, defend multiple positions. Like he's exactly what they do not have.
Yeah, and he is known for hitting sides of the backboard.
He's a terrible finisher.
Exactly. Yes.
In terms of their,
I'll take him over Tucker
because both players hustle nonstop, and I think there's more potential there for Terrence Mann.
I would buy that
if you allow him to start every game, and if you give him more freedom offensively. So we get Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, both quality forwards, wings who can give you some solid minutes in a regular season, and then Terrence Mann, and then of course you get 2020-30 lottery protected pick. I would try to get.
What can we pick in like 2020 in like 2030? What is it going to be, the next Wembanyama?
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like so far in advance.
But since the Clippers really value Terrence Mann, you might not be able to. And the best part of this deal is you get rid of Montrezl Harrell, and the Clippers get James Harden. Moving on, I would even be willing to do no picks if I'm the Sixers.
No picks. Ooh. How do you feel about that one? Powell, Morris, Mann, and Boston. I know you like Mann, so.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably do this. You look at Brandon Boston. You could add like Kobe Brown to this. I'm in.
It's just Kobe Brown, the icing on the cake.
And D'Anthony Melton does not like make me not want to do this. Like, listen, I love D'Anthony Melton. I think he was a fun player last year, but I think we slightly overrate him in Philadelphia. So I would do this.
Yeah, that is fair.
If this was an option, you get Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, Terrence Mann, and Brandon Boston. So you get two players. Well, Terrence Mann isn't that young, but he's still young. 27 years old isn't young. But in the NBA, it's not that young. But two young players in Brandon Boston Jr. and Terrence Mann, and then two rotational pieces that are valuable. And Norman Powell was very good in the postseason last year when the Clippers had nobody playing like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. He was very good in that Sun series, and the Sixers would finally get a scoring threat off the bench.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Desperately what we need.
He's
Desperately.
Sixth Man of the Year candidate. His shot selection at times can get annoying, but I think it would be a breath of fresh air having a guy who can put up 25 points or put up a random 30 points in the playoffs when your star, Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey, are struggling. And then because they're giving us Terrence Mann and Brandon Boston Jr., you give up D'Anthony Melton. And I think D'Anthony Melton is in a situation where you can throw him in a trade and you're not going to be like, oh, I miss him so much because they picked up Patrick Beverley. He's an undersized guard who provides defense. And then, of course, Jaden Springer, who's looked very good in the summer league. He's ready to play. So I think D'Anthony Melton, if you want to sweeten a James Harden deal, throw him in there. You won't miss him too much, in my opinion. I think Sixers fans overrate him a ton, in my humble opinion. His offense is very unreliable, and he doesn't really provide anything outside of catching.
Isn't that what you just said? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I pretty much just said
shooting. And when that is gone, what does he do offensively? The answer is absolutely nothing. James Harden, obviously going to the Clippers. I think this is an even deal. I don't see it happening because Daryl Morey would look at it and be like, I need more. I need more. James Harden is the best player on earth. I need more. I need more. Daryl Morey, that's what happened. That's what got Daryl Morey in this situation.
Oh, God.
Like, oh, Tyrese.
Yeah.
Halliburton, nah. I want 10 first. If I'm gonna take Tyrese Halliburton for Ben Simmons, I want 15 first round picks because Tyrese Halliburton, I have no clue who that is because all I know as Daryl Morey is star names. It's funny to me, Daryl Morey supporters, defenders, all of a sudden Tyrese Halliburton wasn't available. All of a sudden Tyrese Halliburton wasn't available. Isn't that funny? Aren't Daryl Morey defenders hilarious? Now all of a sudden, Tyrese Halliburton wasn't available. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Maybe he wasn't available because Daryl Morey was like, yo, I'm taking Harrison Barnes from you. I'm taking Tyrese Halliburton, and I'm taking 5 first-round picks. That's probably why he wasn't available. And that's probably why the Kings looked at him and you're like, oh, you're giving us Ben Simmons, who just was terrible against the Hawks. That's probably why Tyrese Halliburton wasn't available. Man, these Daryl Morey defenders just make me laugh. So right here, this is a fun little trade. It's just a big player swap.
Hold on.
Clippers get James Harden.
You like this one?
That's intense. All right. PJ Tucker gone. I like that a lot. Bones Highland was like my number 2 target in the draft that year.
Yeah.
he's kind of redundant now with Turk, to be honest. Terrence Mann, obviously, I like. Nick Batum, I like a lot. They could do a lot worse, man. They could do a lot worse. All of a sudden, you have a crazy backcourt rotation with Terrence Mann and Bones Highland and Jaden Springer and pieces to move forward with Tyrese Maxey. I would do this.
All right.
The fact that you're getting PJ Tucker off the books too was a huge win. Underrated win.
Yeah.
Spurs get PJ Tucker, D'Anthony Melton. We get Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, Terrence Mann, and Bones Highland. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got, and I would be fine with getting rolled.
All right. So let me stop sharing that. So that's basically 5 realistic trades. You agreed to like 4 out of 5 of them, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I think the Sixers should do it. That it kind of depends on how you view 2023 and 2024. Like, do you think the Sixers are better with James Harden or better without James Harden? It would be kind of unfortunate for the Sixers to run it back, which logistically, like, it probably is the best move to win a championship with a new system. But it's just the Sixers need to get more athletic. They need to add more youth. They need to add more 3-point shooting across the board. And if you can get something for James Harden, I think you do it. I think this is the time.
Yeah, and people say people will trade him for a couple cookie. But
That's
hey, I just want to say thank you for hopping on, man. It was fun doing the summer league with you. I mean, I learned so much just by watching the games with you. So,
dude, thank you for joining, man. It was a blast. It was an honor.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Sixers all-time draft. We gotta get that done.
Oh yeah. That would be fun. I would love to, even if it's not just Sixers, we could do one of all players. That'd be really cool too, with like modern NBA rules. Those are fun. And then we throw all everybody's 5-man squad to like a vote in like a single elimination bracket of who's like they make it more interactive for fans, and fans can vote for their favorite starting rotations and why not it doesn't work and things like that. It'd be really fun.
Yeah. We're gonna need like at least 5 to 10 people on that.
Yeah, that the more people the better, for sure.
Yeah. So just let everyone know where they can find you. Your plugs.
Oh man, don't follow me. Follow Mitch over there at Mitchkovsky. I'm just
follow Heads of Philly Sports. How about that?
Sure.
Trying to get them to 10K.
We're almost at 10K. That'd be really cool. Edge of Philly Sports. Dude, I think I put out like probably 10 to 15 videos a week. It's crazy. It's going to get even worse with the Eagles around the corner. But if you love the NFL draft, do so. We're at 96 players scouted already for the 2024 NFL draft. And that's only going to go up and up and up. We've got really fun plans over the next few weeks to get ready for college football season with guests and things like that. So if you love the NFL draft as much as I do, go check it out. If there's a favorite player that you love, we've covered them, I promise. And that includes highlight reels and scouting reports and everything. So that's kind of my bread and butter. Player development is kind of my thing. So I just, again, want to thank you, Mitch, for coming on Summer League. If this ran all year round, I would watch it 1,000%. I would watch Summer League over NBA all day long.
Me too.
I'm not an NBA fan. Like I watch Sixers I live in this weird bubble with sports. Like when the Sixers aren't on, I'm not watching the NBA. Like when the Eagles aren't on, I watch the Eagles game. I don't watch the NFL. Like I'm a college guy. I'm a G League all the way guy. I'm a weird kind of sicko, and that's just kind of what I'm into.
Yeah. Hey, it was just fun doing the Sixers with you. I just can't wait to do more, and I want to be more involved with the Eagles when that comes around. So,
Oh man, it's gonna be nuts. Tomorrow night, we have our Eagles final 53-man roster projection. Wednesday will be Party on Broad. That's my podcast.
yeah.
We'll be talking more Sixers and Eagles. And then Friday, we do an NFL draft show. Not sure what we're doing just yet. We have a lot of ideas, but we're probably going to be ranking positions now since we've covered every position. We've covered all the top prospects in all the Power 5 conferences and more. Now we're going to compare 2024 draft prospects to 2023 and rank them like in a big board. So like where would Emeka Egbuka rank with Jackson Smith and Jigba and things like that, which would be really fun. More importantly, it would be fun to kind of like do it and then look back at it in like 9 months and just laugh at how wrong we were. That's what I'm excited about. That piece.
Yeah, that is Dimes. Miss Toxie, we'll catch you all later. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.